And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to another cracking edition of the Matt Brown Show. I am joined again by a man who seemingly is achieving more and more accolades internationally. Jonathan Shapiro, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So no pressure then on me, because I'm like standing in front of a man, or with the man I should say, literally standing. We're doing the standing version of the show these days. But we're here to talk about which book now is this, the 26th or 24th?
It's the 24th annual, but it's my 28th book altogether because I've done 4 specials as well. So
Okay,
yeah.
well, there you go. See, 28. I've done one and I'm pumped.
Oh, different
I'm
genre.
like down there
Yeah.
somewhere. This one is entitled Which Side Is Up? I'm holding it up for you chaps there on my YouTube channel. If you are listening to this, we are on YouTube, so head on over there now so you can see actually what goes on in the studio, which is a whole bunch of stuff. But Jonathan, which side is up? Tell us about this.
Well, that for me, every year I pick something that seems to really nail the year, or is either the big story or one of the big stories, and obviously from a very personal perspective. But the cartoon, this cartoon is actually not even redrawn. I mean, I just sort of fixed it up and turned and used it, reoriented it, and put the cover, the title on, and all that. But it's actually an actual cartoon that I drew as we had our election, because I there were people in media, notably Peter Bruce. Geez, he's going to get tired of hearing me like slagging him off for doing this, but Peter Bruce was earnestly saying, you have to vote, you have to vote for Cyril, you have to vote for the ANC, because otherwise we're going to slip back into the abyss again, and Cyril's the best thing we've got, and da, da, da. I heard that argument many times. Now, I do think Cyril's the best thing the ANC has been able to put up there, but hell, the bar is low. The bar is shit low. I mean, the bar is like down there. I mean, you're talking about Zuma, and then you've got to go a step up. Well, obviously, Cyril is more than a step up, there's many steps up, but really, the ANC has taken us into a dark hole in this last decade, and even a bit before that. So I was thinking, well, I'm not going to be browbeaten into voting ANC. I'm an ANC. I at one stage was a card-carrying member of the ANC, and I was more of a UDF activist in the old days, but I certainly was an ANC member, an ANC supporter. But don't tell me to vote ANC when the ANC is split down the middle between the two factions. You essentially, it obviously came from Ace Magashule, Secretary General of the ANC. There's the Zuma shower woven into his half of the ANC, and,
of course,
and his hand in the till, and he's stabbing the king. So, of course, at the top, supposedly, is the King Buffalo with his hand on the scales of justice, Cyril, CR, all that. But really, which half is, I don't know even if he's got the bigger half of the ANC. So I didn't vote. I actually voted for the Revolutionary Socialist Workers' Party. Seriously, because I wasn't going to go and vote DA. I mean, look at the DA is appalling.
What is going on there now? I mean, you're based in Cape Town. You play in these circles all the time. What's going on there with Musi Maimane and the political wrangling internally there? They've kind of lost their way.
You know what?
Right?
They don't even know what's going on. Do you think I know what's going on?
Yeah.
Look. I don't want to say that there's nothing good there. I don't want to say there's nothing good in the ANC either. The DA has been very good on some of the anti-corruption stuff that they did during the Zuma years. They've been very good on some principles and whatever. But their economic stuff is very similar to the ANC. They're even a fraction more to the right. ANC is kind of centrist. It used to be a kind of. It had much more left-wing. Had more progressive stuff in its policies. They've tried. I think they've lost faith in really pushing. And to be fair to the ANC, they've put a social network in place, and the social grants and that kind of. That was very important. But they've, the Zuma guys have hollowed out state organs. They've hollowed out the mechanisms that were set in place during the Mandela era, and the DA, they were able to fight against the Zuma stuff and a good fight back. But now that Cyril Ramaphosa is there, they kind of don't know where they are. And I think you could say the same thing for the EFF. The EFF has grown a little bit, But they've sounded more and more crazy as their own corruption is exposed. And I think, I mean, even somebody like Mboyiseni Ndlozi, who I thought was kind of sharp. Geez, he hasn't been sounding very sharp recently. So, you know, I'm afraid that I do think that the hope of the country does still rest with the ANC if they can get their act together. I would love to see them split. I've been wanting to see them split for years.
Why though?
Because I think that the one half of the ANC is irredeemably corrupt, and the other half of the ANC is only kind of
sort of corrupt.
Yeah, it's
but they're all corrupt. Most of them. I think that there are still some good people in the ANC, and I think they've got some good policies somewhere or other. But they really have to get rid. Look what's happened recently. You have Lindiwe Sisulu, who's appointed one of the worst of the Zuma Ace bunch, Batabile Dlamini, to have like a high position in housing. How can you do that? I mean, that's happened while I've been on, you know, speaking about my new book, speaking about, you know, where things are, and they do this kind of thing. I mean, just like, what faith can we have in the so-called, you know, the Cyril faction, if that's the degree of pragmatism and cynicism that they operate with? Yeah. Look, I mean, I do a lot of speaking, especially around my book. By the way, Zapiro's full story is in fact in my #1 Amazon best-selling book called You're in a Game. Thanks very much. That. Jeez. Thank you very much. But I mean, it's your kind of story, right, that makes that book. It's actually got very little to do with me and everything to do with like human potential and stuff like that. But you know, I was at the Business Book Club the other day in a wine cellar talking to like 50 of their members, and they got this really cool program where they gift books to kids in libraries and things like this in underprivileged communities. Anyway, so one of the questions was asked about, you know, the youth unemployment, and you know, you always get asked these kind of questions, and what's the solution there? With your political hat on, is this going to change ever? You know, if you think about youth unemployment being 70% and the impact that you know, youth dividend is going to have on, it's a time bomb waiting to happen. And, you know, you're covering this political landscape all the time. And, you know, as entrepreneurs, my audience being a lot of C-suites, business leaders of the community across Africa and also internationally, you know, looking at Africa, specifically South Africa, you know, where does the buck stop now? Because you know, Cyril's on this, you wanted to raise 100 billion rand, I think it was. Is that the right number or something like that, to help, you know, stimulate the economy? You've got failing infrastructure, you've got corruption, as you've touched on. Like, what do you see as the silver lining in this very dark cloud?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see one silver lining. I mean, at the moment, I do think we are. I mean, as you said, we're in a pretty dark place. Somebody in one of the talks I did yesterday in an auditorium filled with parents of kids, and not that many kids because they're writing exams, but said, when are we going to go the way of Zimbabwe? So she put it even more starkly than you have. And I suppose that then makes me do the pushback. And the pushback is, we actually are not going to go the way of Zimbabwe.
What makes you say that,
you see, so if you ask me that question, are we going to go? I think, so the silver lining, well, my answer there was, we have some people in those political parties who still are good. We have some, but we have a fantastic media. We really do. Even though there's been some issues, the media is under pressure. We've had media brought, in fact, Daily Maverick, who I work for, brought Gupta leaks and brought them to things like the Amabungani, who are the offshoot of the old good Mail and Guardian, when the Mail and Guardian was good. And they've now gone out independently, and they work with Daily Maverick. They were doing the stories that Daily Maverick brought out through the 200,000 leaked emails, the Gupta leaks. Amabungani had been doing those stories for 7 years, and then they had this kind of corroboration. And between them and some other people, I mean, they essentially managed to bring down Zuma and the Guptas. Mm-hmm. So the media is great. Then civil society, there are many, many organizations doing incredible stuff. There's structures in place. There are people who step up out of the shadows of deployment, sort of crap deployment. I mean, people like Thuli Madonsela, who was deployed by Zuma, I mean, appointed by Zuma as an ANC person to essentially kind of cover for him in the way that I think previous public protectors had covered for the ANC. And I mean, the current public protector, unfortunately, is a step down, like even below anything we could possibly imagine. So it's crazy. But you had Thuli, so you have other people as well who are sort of put in place to do the dirty work of whoever's most corrupt at the moment, and they decide, now hang on a second, I'm actually going to do my job. And to me, that's one of the reasons that this country has not slipped into the abyss. We're teetering at the moment, we really are. But I think that we just have to hope that all the different kinds of things that people are doing, young people coming up with amazing ideas, that every now and then you hear that, and we've got our own Greta Thunbergs here. I mean, maybe not as high profile, but people who make some sort of impact and start to change the argument. That's all. If we lose, let's put it this way. I may be wrong. Maybe it's not going to happen like that. But if we lose hope in those kind of things working together, then we might as well just say, okay, say goodbye to the country, because it will go down the tubes.
The only thing I will do, I basically, to answer this problem, because a lot of people are leaving. In other words, they're running away. They're not running towards something. And for me, nothing is, I mean, even like I'm moving to America in less than a year. And I'm not leaving, I'm not running away from South Africa. I'm running towards the opportunity of America. And there's probably a little bit of both, I guess, if I'm brutally honest. But, under Trump, it's not exactly awesome there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy could start a nuclear fucking war, and you'd wake up on one morning, check Twitter, because I follow him on Twitter, and it's like done. Do you know what I mean? Like, you never know with this guy. I mean, the Syria story, he pulled out the US troops on the border there, and obviously, loads of Kurds got killed. Unfortunately, he's politically reckless. And
he's part of a kind of a wave of horrifying, almost all male, sort of patriarchal, populist bullies who've really taken root all over the place. I mean, down in Brazil, you have Bolsonaro, Trump is good buddies with almost all of these people. I mean, you have Putin in Russia, you have Trump, you have Bolsonaro, you have Erdogan in Turkey. I mean, well, you have had how long he's around. So but there are so many of them, and then all over the world. The Crown Prince of Saudi. And Trump is, Trump happens to, it's kind of no coincidence that he's buddies with all of these people. But it is scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
And this is what I wanted to get into with you, was that, and again, like I put this tweet out the other day, there are riots in Chile, protests in France.
Yep.
There's unrest in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
As you said, Turkey, America, England, Brexit.
Yeah.
I mean, where does that's just off the top of my head. If you actually did some digging.
Boris Johnson's and so on. Yeah.
Colombia is another one.
Yeah.
And so when you see all of this, and when you consider the power of media, which is completely, in terms of DNA entwined in the political fabric and the narratives that come out of these countries, it's the point I want to land here in a long-winded way, is that when you see all of this stuff, it's very easy to get on the negative train, the hurt train, and that the world's fucked, it's all over, blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's nothing is ever as bad or as good as it seems.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind moving to America even if Trump's there.
Yeah.
I don't, because he's not going to be there for much longer. And then you're going to have another problem sitting in the presidency. Do you know what I mean?
I'm so in two minds about what's going to happen with Trump. I don't know. I mean, one day I think he cannot survive the stuff that's happening now. But in the next day, I think, it's incredible what the Republican Party is prepared to absorb and how much damage they're prepared to absorb for this guy, who they didn't even want in the first place. And Middle America and all of that is it's the way that people are kind of, they just find their news wherever they want it, and they find like rubbish on Fox and further right and Breitbart and all of that. And that's what they, that everything is put through that filter. Maybe he will survive longer than we might think today that he'll survive. So I don't know. But the thing is, to me, is look, I'm not religious. So where do I get my ethics from? Or it's you somewhere along the line you develop a kind of a set of ethics that you try and live by, and it's around human rights, and it's around trying to make things better, and it's around trying not to shut up if you think it's going to make a difference to say something. And I think, as long as you work with people who also do that kind of stuff, that's all you can do. If you succumb to the thing of saying, I give up, and anything I do won't make a difference, then
it's over.
Then it's over. So all we can do is just keep on trying to enjoy the stuff that you do. Where it's actually quite a nice thing. You get quite a kick out of fighting against the assholes. That is, and I mean,
boom, you heard it here first.
It's that in itself.
Well, you've done that your entire life.
Yeah, sure. And as a cartoonist, I mean, I know that I have more chance than most because I have a bigger voice than some people, and I have a medium, a genre where put one thing again, one thing, you put A and B together and you make Z, and it's like a surprise. And that's what cartooning is all about. That surprise, that little chemical thing in your brain that. Like when I see it, I piss myself. Then I think, well, that's going to work.
Yeah, I just did this. I'm quite funny.
Yeah, and believe me, there's a lot of angst that goes there. A lot of times, and I think, does it work? Does it work? Does it work? And then I show it to other people. They piss themselves. Okay, then it works. But yeah, I don't want to say that I go through a lot of angst. I once did a drawing of myself on a therapist's couch, saying if I have a day without self-doubt, I worry. So I do have that side to myself.
So let's talk about funny, haha. So for our YouTube viewers, Amazon Prime viewers rather, this is the Well, you describe this one. So it's a chicken.
Well, you see,
what's the context first?
Okay. Well, first of all, if you don't even see the cartoon first, it's that of course we've had the Zondo Commission. Zondo Commission is actually the word of the year, so I don't even need to in South Africa, the word of the year it's 2 words, but Zondo Commission, because it's been in the news so much, and it's all about trying to get to the bottom of where these bastards have been and taken this country. So. We then have Gavin Watson's name cropping up all the time in Bosasa, and this group that had an empire to at least the equal of the Guptas, taking us down the state capture road, with Zuma and co. And then I just had this. We kept wondering, would Gavin Watson? We heard Agrizi's evidence at the Zondo Commission about the Watson brothers, and then we heard that in Bosasa, chicken was code for cash bribes. Did you hear that thing?
No.
Okay. Well, we watched different news. No, it was big news, but the chicken is code for cash bribes. So so I thought, well, chicken. And that was the spark. And I was in a hotel room on a speaking tour of something, and I had to come up with, and I suddenly got this flash. Zondo's, like Nando, obviously, at Zondo's, Nando's, and there's Gavin Watson, Zondo's Flame Grilled, and the Watson brothers, and Bosasa, an ANC product, and did the whole Nando's thing, and there's the little chicken context. So the cartoon, it worked really well. The next morning, I showed that cartoon at this conference, and it worked really, really well. Then, sometime later, I was speaking again somewhere else, and I showed this cartoon. It usually gets a fantastic laugh, and it was just flat dead. It was in the morning, and it's like quiet.
Whoa!
And I thought something's wrong, and then I showed the rest of my cartoons. Everyone laughed. It all worked. At the end of the thing, somebody ran up to me with his phone, and he stuck his phone in my face. He said, "Have you seen this?" And Gavin Watson had driven himself into that pole at the Tambo airport and killed himself.
What
and that happened. And the news came through while I was
Oh my gosh.
showing that cartoon, you see.
That's crazy.
And then like 4 more people came running up to me and showed me their phones and like said, so I realized why the cartoon had landed badly. But now it lands well again because
people have short memories, right?
well, Gavin Watson, I mean, late unlamented. So,
that's why I love it when people listen to the show at all. It's really horrible. It's a horrible thing.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, really.
It's time you'll never get back.
If you want one person to be horrible about, let's make it Gavin Watson. No, and Zuma. And no, we can keep adding to the
You
list.
must just keep coming back every week, dude. By the way, I had Stilly Sheralambis on the show not too long ago.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, guys, if you don't know who that is, he's the founder, CEO of Daily Maverick.
Daily Maverick, my fantastic. I'm lucky enough to be doing drawings for Daily Maverick.
Yes.
It's the place to be for really good
so
stuff.
So I think it was 203 or somewhere down there, episode 203. So have a look for that one. Speaking of Bolsonaro, I want to do this one. So this is Trump with Bolsonaro holding a flamethrower, and then the guy basically getting his hair burnt to shreds, and it says the Amazon on it.
The Amazon. So that was one cartoon that's where I mean, when I heard how complicit Bolsonaro is,
that ex an asshole.
Absolutely.
You can totally
Bolsonaro. That's quite nice.
Bolsonaro. There you go.
And Trump, of course, just taking a selfie in the background. And it's all, of course, in a parody is one of our favorite weapons in cartooning and satire. So it's clearly, everybody knows this image of Munch, the scream. It's become one of the most famous images in the world. So it works easily and well for cartoons. Yeah.
And tell me, why does Trump have a shower on his head there?
A golden shower. Oh, yeah, this is a kind of place where I can tell this. I've sometimes been asked this when there's a lot of kids around, which is a little more difficult.
Yeah.
But the golden shower of Trump is actually here's the thing. There was a Russian intelligence which said that, and U.S. intelligence took it seriously enough to actually make a thing of it, and it then became a story on CNN that. So the golden shower basically is somebody who gets sexual pleasure from being urinated on. Mm-hmm. Trump makes it his own and does worse. He apparently, when he was in Russia, he got sex workers to pee on the bed that the Obamas slept in.
What?
How disgusting is that? I mean, it's got a racial edge to it. Because Russian intelligence said it. U.S. intelligence took it seriously enough to actually make a thing of it. So I didn't make it up. I didn't make the. You go back. CNN then ran the stuff, and then Trevor Noah, did a hilarious piece with like golden stuff, golden like shower things, and I mean golden stuff in the bathroom and all that. And I then said, "Sure, wow, that's my stuff." There's a golden shower there. So I did a golden shower on Trump. I did it a couple of times. And then I looked for Trevor.
That's so gross.
Isn't it? I looked for Trevor's email, which I didn't. I think I actually asked Nick Rabinovitz because I wasn't sure I'd lost it or something, because I used to know him on the way up,
Yeah.
And
now look at you.
I know, yeah.
You just plateaued, dude.
Absolutely. So anyway, I tried to get hold of Trevor, and I send him this email. I say, Trevor, is this still your email? And he sends it, yes, it's me. So I said, hey, look at these drawings. You gave me a golden opportunity, so to speak. And he says, he sent me back an email that said, I bet my staff you'd do it. So you won me money and a gift.
Oh, really?
And I said, wow, Trevor has told in America, he said, like, hey, there's this dude back home who puts the shower on the president's head. Now he's going to put a golden shower on Trump.
It's nuts, eh?
Hey, so I put that on the back of one of my books. I said, hey, he said, can I put that on the back? Now when I try and get hold of him, I can't get hold of him anymore.
Well, he's too big now, man. You know what I mean?
He's like
even for you, by the way, who is now, as far as I understand this, a knight in the Order of Arts and Letters. This is basically a knighthood from the French president. And Trevor Noah won't even talk to you. That's disgraceful.
No, I'm not saying Trevor won't talk to me.
Let's get him on the show for a full account.
He's just got lots of fences. You can imagine how busy the dude is. I mean, selling out Madison Square Garden and all that
but
stuff.
You're a knight.
Yeah. So maybe I should put that on my next email.
Could you? Yeah, exactly.
Monsieur Trevor from Lechevallier. Chevalier des arts et lettres.
Oh. Je le dis. Je le
He's
dis.
got to respond.
Muy bien. Muy bien.
So, the reason I had this was that the ambassador the new ambassador of France made the most incredible speech at the presentation ceremony in Cape Town last week. And I don't know if you want me to read any
Dude,
of
please,
it.
but before you do that, just give us some context here. Why are you being knighted? Like, it's like, how does anyone, a cartoonist from Cape Town, even though you're amazing, and despite how awesome you are in 28 books, whatever the case is now, but why are you being knighted by the French government? Like, how does that come about?
The French government, in 1957, they established this high cultural order, and I think it's incredible. They look around the world for people they look in France and they look elsewhere, and they try and acknowledge and recognize people who they feel have done something to further the freedom of expression, further the arts, further culture, across the spectrum of culture. I mean, people like Angelique Kidjo, Steven Spielberg, Susan Sontag, here Johnny Clegg, which is amazing. In South Africa, there's just a few.
William Kentridge, another one.
Zanele Maholi, Gregory Makloma.
This is a big deal.
Brett Bailey, Sylvain Stryker, I think, and myself. I think that's the full list of South Africans in this one. There's so many great international artists of all kinds who've been acknowledged, and it's amazing to be part of that.
So this president, it was in Cape Town, and he did the speech,
the ambassador.
The ambassador.
So it's basically the president. Obviously they rely on people who are in the countries. Sometimes I'm sure they see things from France, but they rely on. So the ambassadors will say, this is a person who seems to be doing, and that's apparently how my name got put forward. Then it goes through the Minister of Culture, and then the president appoints. So it's all of them involved: president, Minister of Culture, ambassador, and even the consul in Cape Town.
And so, what did he say? Walk us through the speech.
Well, he said, talking about cartooning, and he said, they play with fire. He said it in a wonderful French accent, which I'm not going to attempt. And when I say fire, I refer to all its meanings. One mistake and a bonfire is lit. One step across the border and the dragon of censorship is awake. One step back, you burn the idea. One step aside, and the anger of the mob bites you. 3 steps away from the politically correct, and you may unleash the fury of the government and the faithful servants of the moral laws. If you're too harsh, you create pain. Too blunt, you cause suffering. Too clear, you're not funny anymore. Too ambiguous, too vague, you miss the point. And then another section. Cartoonists are like an archer, an arrow that can never miss the very center, the dark spot of the target, a long distance away. Every day they walk on the tightrope. But when they walk, and then he said like Zapiro. I mean, I'm not reading that to add my name in it, but I love the speech. When they walk like Zapiro on the ground, they really play with a good type of fire. The kind of fire that ignites laughter when you think you're no longer able to laugh. The kind of fire that heals the pain, that lifts the suffering. It's the light of a sun that shows the true face of the beauty, or, on the other hand, the ugliness of a human soul. A fire that spreads to the mind and sparks a series of thoughts and new ideas. A fire that we can share with friends, with colleagues, with strangers in the street. A fire that is at the heart of art, at the essence of what we call literature or letters in French. How's that speech?
That's crazy, man.
So that's the most amazing speech I've ever had written about things that I've been involved in.
What you do and what you're about well here.
Yeah.
Sure. That's incredible.
So, yeah.
Let's do quote of the day. Should we do it?
Sure.
Because I think that's a good point of departure, right? Take us through this one.
I mean, that's one that I often use. It's like the title of some of the talks I do. Careful, this pen is loaded. But it came from a cartoon that I did about none other than Jacob Zuma. Because Jacob Zuma came to, he basically, when he sued me for the second time, but for the Lady Justice cartoon, I did a cartoon of Zuma and a bunch of kind of thugs and police and whatever, and they're coming to my door, and I answer the door, And then I say, careful, this, all I have is the pen. They've got all their guns and whatever. And I say, careful, this pen is loaded, which it is. And I hope,
the pen is more powerful than a gun.
Yeah, I also had
another
little
quote. In some contexts.
Yeah, one little quote that they
Unless
had
you're dead.
At the French. I know. At the French Literary Festival, they asked me for something for posted there. So I did one. The pen is funnier than the sword, which is also.
Well, the funny thing is, you're talking about fire, right? Is that those weren't there French cartoonists that got killed in France?
Yeah, the sort of tough stuff, the difficult stuff that is this that. I began my acceptance speech by saying something that is, I would have said even if there wasn't a connection with me. The French, who are the people who developed some of those concepts of freedom of expression that we are able to use as satirists and people in society generally, liberty, equality, fraternity, that's the one thing, but then a whole lot of the best satirists and the best caricaturists like Daumier in the only like 50 years after the French Revolution were having to fight against the powerful yet again. And they did it incredibly well. And they were jailed. Daumier was jailed. His publisher, Philippon, was also jailed. I told a story about his publisher, Philippon. Now, jump a couple of centuries ahead, and in France, in Paris, you had the officers of Charlie Hebdo that were attacked by jihadist gunmen, and 12 people were massacred. 5 of them cartoonists, the Charlie Hebdo cartoonists, who are named by name, and that was in 2015. What I didn't know at the time was that there was a planned assassination on me at that very moment. I only found that out in 2017. Now, if you go and look up the Thulsie twins case. The Thulsie twins, they here in Joburg. They were then 19 years old. They had been prevented from leaving to go and fight for ISIS. They wanted to fight for ISIS. Their families, to their credit, had told the police about them, and they had been stopped. And then they were looking around for things that they could do that would further the aims of jihadism. And they made contact with an operative in Kenya. I was actually planning a trip to Kenya in 2015, and I had a gut feeling that I shouldn't go. I was a bit worried about where things stood with me, because I knew I'd done a Prophet Muhammad cartoon in 2010. And the consequences of that are that there are people who want to kill you. I had 6 death threats in 2010, and I was beaten up on the fan walk during the World Cup. Yeah, so I'd had that experience. Now in 2015, I didn't know these Thulsie twins were actually they were conspiring with this guy in Kenya, who said that I was a legitimate target because I had drawn the messenger of Allah.
When does that go away?
I'm afraid never. So even this now, as we go, it's risky. But I'd rather have it out there than cover it up. And it was also banner headlines in one of the newspapers up here in Joburg. It was the Times when it still printed its newspaper. It wasn't only online. And so the Thulsie twins were, at that very time the Charlie Hebdo people were killed, were planning, as they said, apparently small arms, explosives, or poison. That was what they could use for me.
Which is your preferred way in case?
That's the first time anybody's asked me.
I mean, I think you should have a preferred option.
Say, okay, dudes, I'll go. Let me go the quickest one.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually not. I'm happy they're sitting at the moment. Well, apparently I may be required to give evidence.
Really?
I was told that by the investigating authorities. So,
it seems to me that you've opened Pandora's Box.
I don't think I opened it. I mean, I know I've said it now, but it was opened already. Good sound effect.
So we're going to play a game of Pandora's Box. It's a new segment of the show. This is where
I think I'm going to be.
You get to take me on in Mortal Kombat.
Oh gosh!
So walk around that side.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You can take your marks off.
Jeez. It's not my area of expertise.
Oh, it is now. Okay, so headphones on.
Okay.
So basically, how Pandora's Box works is you get to fight me, and I get to ask you rapid fire questions at the same time.
Oh God! Yeah. Okay.
So I'll move it this way. Okay, get that mic near your
All
thing.
right.
Okay, so basically, how this works is, let me do this. I'm gonna go Mortal Kombat 2. There you go. Cool. Right, so
I think I should get my son to stand in for me.
oh yeah.
I'm like frozen here. I never do these.
Somehow I chose what's his name, Scorpion. Which guy do you want to be? Liu Kang or Sub-Zero?
I'll be the woman with the. I'll be the woman with the mirror. Yeah, I'll be her.
What's her name?
What
I have no idea her name is.
Yeah.
What's her name? MK.
MK.
What?
Oh, that's
No,
okay.
okay, that's fine.
That used to be something I identified with.
Okay, ready.
Okay.
They say men can't multitask. That's how you jump, and you got to hit these buttons here. Okay. So basically, what's the greatest lesson your father ever taught you?
To think of other people as much as I think of myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you feel that you actually do that, though?
No, I try, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me see.
What are you really bad at?
I'm bad at these kind of video games. I started out with games like where it just went like ping, ping, ping in like 1976 or something. So,
take that. Reptile, that's his name. Scorpion. What the fuck? Okay, so so are you competitive?
Yes, in things that I think I might know. I am, even in things that I can't. Oh yeah. Okay.
Jonathan, just hit me.
Hit.
See, you drew blood now.
Okay.
This is
yes, I jump over.
Oh yes, take that. So basically, guys, if you want to watch me kick Jonathan's ass at a game of Mortal Kombat, you can subscribe on my YouTube channel.
Who won that round?
Yes, you're getting taken an ass beating here, Jono.
Geez.
So talk to me about the future of your cartoons. Apparently you're going in like a new direction.
Except anything digital. Nothing like that. As you can see, it will not do well.
You don't want to do digital cartoons?
No. No digital, nothing digital.
Hey.
It'll all be,
excuse me.
But I want to do comic strips. Did I just knock you out?
You did.
Yay. I don't know how I did. Okay.
You had me distracted by doing non-digital cartoons.
Okay.
That's just nasty.
Hey, Jesus.
Why are you being nasty to me?
What
the hell, dude? You can't shoot that shit at me.
I have no idea what I just... Oh, yes.
Okay, now you're just showing off. Jono, I haven't lost yet. Don't be that guy. No. Here I come.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I killed 3 times in what... Was that me being killed? Yes.
So why don't you want to do digital cartoons? Oh, my God.
Oh yeah. Wait.
Jono, you have to answer the question.
Digital cartoons because I'm going to completely cuck at them, and because I like having originals. I don't like having things that are just virtual. I want to have a piece of paper with stuff on it. Oh, jeez. Okay, I think that's a complete victory.
Thanks for playing the game of Mortal Kombat. Okay. Go have a seat there, or stand actually.
By the way, have we just turned into a pumpkin? I think we just did. Because we have a live thing at 11. Hey.
Gotta go.
So like, can we?
We'll wrap up.
Can you do your rappers first?
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Jeez, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. That was tough beating you. But anyway, we'll wrap this up. I know you got to get on to another media interview. So what's next for you? What can we expect from the man, the legend?
Look, in the short term, absolutely, I'm still completely committed to these cartoons. I mean, I keep getting excited by them. There's like, I've recently just got very excited by the rugby. I love that stuff. And I'll keep on. I'm still at Maverick. In the medium term, I'm going to start doing my stories in graphic form. And that's something that's I don't know how and when and where all it's going to work, but that's the sort of medium term. Short term, you can expect, another book will be out next year. And And I hope people will watch Maverick, because it is some of the most important journalism that's being done in this country.
Yep, Daily Maverick.
And anywhere.
DailyMaverick.co.za, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
Jonathan, thanks for coming back on the show. It's
brilliant.
been thoroughly enjoyed it. And,
I enjoyed it as well. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome back anytime.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, mate. Bye.